The Center for Accessible Learning welcomes new and returning students. We invite you to continue watching for highlights on how to register with CAL, and if you're registered, what to do to receive your academic accommodations and related services. Camosun College is located in beautiful Victoria, British Columbia, with campuses on the traditional territories of the Lekwungen and Wasanich peoples. We acknowledge their welcome and graciousness to the students who seek knowledge here. Students registered with CAL are enrolled in a wide diversity of programs across the college. You might be a student who is pursuing upgrading or work-integrated learning or a university transfer program. You might be a South Island Partnership student or taking a dual credit program between two institutions. Maybe you are transitioning from another school and you're looking for accommodations you've had in the past. Or maybe you have a new or changed disability with impacts that you are now learning to adapt to. You might be looking for assistance in applying for public funding to cover costs for services or assistive technologies that address impacts of your disability in college. If you've had disability-related supports in K-12 education, accommodations might look different in post-secondary. Post-secondary accommodations are self-serve and depend on you to initiate your requests. Something that might be new for you is that Camosun College is an adult institution and therefore communicates directly with you on your college business. This protects your privacy and recognizes you as an autonomous learner and as an adult. For example, college staff don't have permission to talk to your parent or supporter without your consent and without you present. You can initiate a proxy process where you can allow parents, guardians, or other third parties to view certain information in your My Camosun account. For more details about that, Google Camosun Proxy Access. Through the process of registering with CAL, students with complex barriers and complex accommodations may wish to identify, by written consent, a third party, for example a medical doctor or a family member, who CAL can communicate with about academic accommodation planning and services related to that. If this applies to you, it's important for you and your supporter to know, even with written consent, the primary relationship is still with you. CAL always prefers to communicate with you present when communicating with your supporter, but also recognizes that it isn't always possible to do that for students in these complex situations. CAL offers programs and services in a variety of different areas. We're the department on campus responsible for deciding, communicating, and overseeing academic accommodations for students with disabilities, and we act as a liaison or consultants with academic departments and course instructors about accommodations. We coordinate sign language interpreting and real-time transcribing services for students who are deaf and hard of hearing, assisting course instructors to deliver their content accessibly. We provide referrals to Camosun-based and community-based learning assistance services such as tutoring, academic strategists, and support for writing, math, etc. Many students with disabilities apply for grant funding that assists to cover the cost of some of these services, so we work with students to assist them to apply for the grant funding, subject to provincial student aid ministry eligibility requirements. We provide a professionally staffed accommodated exam center where students with accommodations can make bookings and come to complete their tests and exams. Our advisors provide adaptive or assistive technology consultation and training to students and connection to provincial organizations with expertise in the area. We coordinate accessible classroom furniture requests with facilities at Camosun for students who require that in their classroom. We provide a text and alternate format service for students with print-based disabilities in partnership with a provincial alternate format resource at Langara College called CAPER BC. CAL works in partnership with other subject matter experts from across the college and refers students to those roles and areas on a variety of topics where expert knowledge and connections are required. Something you might not know is that academic accommodation in higher education is based on anti-discrimination laws concerned with providing equity of access for people with disabilities. Accommodations don't change the content or standard of what is being taught or assessed. They change the way that learners participate in the learning experience and/or demonstrate the required knowledge. An example would be writing the same exam as the class but with more time in a location outside of the classroom. Each person and learning environment is different, so academic accommodations are determined by CAL on a per-person basis. You have the right and the responsibility, if you receive academic accommodation, to be part of a collaborative process with CAL and your course instructors to find creative and flexible solutions while still meeting the academic requirement of your courses and program. Key among your responsibilities are communicating and initiating requests with your course instructors and CAL in a timely way. Accommodations take consideration and time to implement, so the more proactive you can be, the better. CAL recommends meeting with your course instructors at the beginning of each term to discuss your accommodations and the structure and content expectations of your course. This is a good way to collaborate and plan for how the term will go. This slide shows accommodations, services, and technologies that are common in higher education. Peer note sharers in the classroom, a course-specific tutor, and an academic strategist are all related services that CAL can assist you to connect with, if relevant for your situation. It's important to understand, however, that these are not considered academic accommodations, except in rare circumstances. Instead, they are academic success services. CAL has provided a website to understand the key differences between access services and success services, which you can find in the description below. We encourage you to check it out. About 7.5% of Camosun students register with CAL. The majority of students who register have invisible disabilities. Mental health disabilities are the most common, which is a trend consistent across North America in higher education. Students registering for accommodations have permanent disabilities, some have chronic and cyclical disabilities that come and go, and some have temporary situations that resolve within the term or within the academic year. Students use their accommodations based on barriers they encounter in specific course situations. Some students need their accommodations for all classes, and some choose them only for the classes where barriers emerge based on the course content. For example, a student with a learning disability in mathematics won't use accommodations in their English course because numeracy isn't being learned or assessed. Some courses are designed to be universally accessible, so for those, students typically won't need accommodation. Your medical documentation assists us to understand your specific functional impacts or barriers and then create accommodations that have a logical relationship to those. The documentation needs to be current enough for it to be relevant and comprehensive enough for us to understand what the functional impacts are in an academic environment. It also needs to be written by a medical assessor who is qualified to comment about your disability. If you already have medical documentation, you can submit it to CAL for the purpose of registering for academic accommodations. If you don't have medical or you need updated medical, we've provided convenient and comprehensive downloadable forms for your assessor to complete on our New to CAL Students webpage. CAL requires you to submit pre-intake information before we can schedule you for an intake appointment. If you're submitting medical documentation with your pre-intake form, please attach it as a PDF document. There are many cell phone apps that assist you to scan and create a PDF from hard copy if that's the only format of medical you have. If you don't have current medical documentation, we still ask that you complete a pre-intake form, and our staff will be in touch with you after we've received and reviewed it to schedule an appointment or to request more information. It can take some time to go through the process of registering and establishing accommodations, particularly if those accommodations involve hiring and coordinating classroom supports, such as transcribing or interpreting. We encourage you to complete the pre-intake as early as possible to get things started. When you register with CAL, you'll meet a CAL instructor. The instructor's role is to learn about you, your intended academic pathway, and review your disability documentation. CAL instructors decide on specific accommodations to reduce barriers to your participation in your program, acting as a consultant with you and a liaison with your academic departments when needed. Your specific medical diagnosis is kept private, but they must be able to communicate to your course instructors the effect of functional impacts on your participation. They initiate this by writing a letter of academic accommodation which you share with your course instructors. You only share these with course instructors in the courses you want accommodation for. CAL instructors also inform you about students with disabilities funding and refer you to other subject matter experts within CAL and across the college. Each academic term, follow the instructions on the exams and faculty notification letters webpage to request your accommodation letters be sent to your course instructors, and to book your exams with CAL if you have exam accommodations. If you do these tasks as early as possible at the beginning of the term, you give CAL and course instructors time to consider, communicate, plan, and implement. If you wait, it becomes very difficult for folks to put things into place. If you wait too long, it may not be possible at all. Exam booking deadlines are established to reflect this. If you're a student with accommodations that will take a lot of planning and coordination, such as in-class supports like sign language interpreting or transcribing, please consider requesting your letter go out before the term starts. We strongly encourage you to discuss your letter with your course instructor because there might be parts of the course that will impact specific accommodations in ways you might not anticipate. It's better to engage and consult so a plan can be developed around these. If you write exams with CAL, you and your course instructors can expect to receive a number of introductory and reminder emails throughout the term on the steps required. If your letter needs to be updated due to new circumstances, you can request a consultation appointment with your CAL instructor to discuss. Please do so at the earliest possible date, as it takes time to implement changes. The student aid ministries in every province provide specific grants for students with permanent disabilities in post-secondary courses. In BC, a grant is also provided for students in adult upgrading courses in a slightly different way. Each funding source depends on a process that is time sensitive. For post-secondary courses, eligibility each term depends on three main requirements by the funding ministry. Number one, $1 of assessed financial need. You have to apply and qualify for full or part-time student financial assistance through your province of permanent residency, in BC, Student Aid BC. The government uses the student aid application process as a means test to verify that you need financial help. This has to be established each term before you can apply for or receive disability grants. Number two, you must be enrolled in a 4-credit full or part-time program at the college. And three, you must provide medical documentation that is complete, current, and comprehensive, that clearly communicates functional impacts and permanency of your disability. We encourage you to check out CAL's funding website for more information about how the grants work. For adult upgrading students, initiate a request for funding directly through your CAL instructor without having to apply through Student Aid BC first. Grants can assist to cover hourly or stipend costs associated with human services such as tutoring, academic strategists, note sharing, etc. They also cover costs of working with Assistive Technology BC for BC residents to explore technology solutions with students and purchase and ship assistive software and hardware directly to them. In cases where students are not eligible for grants of technology, they may be eligible for a loan of technology through ATBC. All services and technology under these programs are funded by public money, so students are required to use them as they are intended. Students must account at the end of the funding or loan periods for any unused funds, provide detailed receipts for services, and return any loaned hardware or software when their academic program finishes. Students who obtain technology through the grant, however, can keep it forever. Students with disabilities often take more time to complete their academic programs because they elect to take a reduced course load. Functional impacts of many disabilities result in students having to spend more time studying, preparing, accessing support services, managing sleep and medication-related impacts, etc. A reduced course load facilitates a student to reasonably spend the time required to do the academic work that will permit them to demonstrate their knowledge. Course load decisions are individualized. Some students take a slightly reduced course load, and some take only 1 or 2 classes per semester. Some work up to a full course load over time, starting with only 1 course in the first term so they can modulate the approach to their studies and get supports in place for their success. It's strongly recommended that you contact and work with an academic advisor at Camosun if you're wanting to explore options for taking a reduced course load within your academic program area. There will be variations across programs on what a reduced course load might or can look like based on essential learning outcomes and the required academic pathway to subsequent education, such as laddering to university. This particular step is a very important one for anyone considering a reduced course load. We also strongly suggest you consult financial aid and awards, as reduced course load enrollment may affect your student aid eligibility. This is really important if grants you have applied for are dependent on your student aid status. CAL offers the choice to students to meet in person, over the phone, or virtually using conferencing software with audio and/or video. We look forward to meeting you and working with you at the Center for Accessible Learning. Thanks for taking the time to watch the presentation today, and all the best into your future education.